in this case, they all took the lifeboat and left all the merchant marines to fend for themselves as the boat broke apart in the storm and the sharks. And they had some survivors. It was kind of like their Donner Party, the French Donner Party, called the Raft of the Medusa. The Medusa was the name of the ship. It was a very, very sordid tale in French history, and it made people really, really angry at the aristocracy before the French Revolution. And this is another example of romanticism in art, this time by Goya, the Spaniard. That's Madrid in the background. And these are Napoleonic troops executing Madrid citizens. And I've stood in front of this painting quite a few times because I taught this class in Madrid. And I've gone to the Prado Museum where this is many, many times. Now, every single time I went in there, I wanted to see this painting because I really love Goya, great painter. There was a teacher standing in front of it and a bunch of school kids. Every time. Talking, teaching them about their history. This is a very important image in Spanish history. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of the rivalry between Spain and France. It was way, way back, but there was a time when French troops invaded Spain, and the citizens revolted, and they were executed in the streets. Right in the streets, you go to Madrid now. It's just like Paris. Lots of bloody scenes happened in those streets over the few hundred years. So this is the kind of painting that's, it's a historical painting, but it's an example of romanticism in art because it's very heightened emotion, and the way it's painted, that's more important than the way, it's not painted carefully and smoothly, perfectly. Usually paintings in the Romantic era are painted very quickly, very expressively. And this is very much that way. You see it in real life. It's very loosely painted, quickly. As if the artist's emotions were meant to be seen right there in the brushstroke. Romanticism. There's self-portraits by Andy Warhol, the American pop artist. That's pop art. That's Romer Bearden, a Harlem Renaissance artist, American. Romer Bearden. This is by Turner, an English artist. We're not going to talk about that many English artists. Probably England's visual arts is overshadowed by Shakespeare and their poetry and literature. That's not true in France. France has a very, very rich visual history. Germany music, well, different countries have a different thrust for some reason. Like Holland, for instance, a very tiny country, has an unbelievably rich history of painting in particular. So England does have this very unusual artist, very influential, Turner. And there's the other Guggenheim in Bilbao, Spain. And this is another work by Christo and Jean-Claude where they wrapped up the government building in Berlin. This is when Germany was reunited. Kind of like a birthday present or a Christmas present to the German people. They wrapped it up like a present. Looks like it's been photoshopped down. Is this real? There's another Basquiat because this class really likes Basquiat. And there's the Taj Mahal in India, an example of Islamic architecture. And this is by Diego Rivera, the Mexican artist, the husband of Frida Kahlo. Some of you might know her name, but not his. This is a didactic painting as well, a teaching painting. It's a propaganda piece, this painting. It's pro-communist. It's anti-capitalist. They were dedicated communists, and this painting has a message. It's pretty easy to decipher. We'll talk about it, though, maybe not today. And this is by Robert Rauschenberg, an American artist. Example of the kind of work that was being done just before pop art in the late 1950s, 1960s. Very abstract, very experimental, and very annoying to people who the kind of thing we'll talk about in this class too. Why is so much art disturbing or weird? And there's a picture of Basquiat again because this class really likes Basquiat. And Andy Goldsworthy, a Scottish artist who does very unusual kind of art. In this case, these are just leaves arranged on the ground. He picked up all these leaves of different colors and he made this thing, and then it got photographed and videotaped while he was doing it. That's his art. Andy Goldsworthy. This is we call it an exhibition guide to a very important exhibition that you guys are going to see a film about called Antarctica Kunst, meaning degenerate art. It has to do with government control censorship. That's the theme. You're going to see that next week. There's a self-portrait by Frida Kahlo. And a religious painting by Emil Nolde, a German expressionist. There's another Caravaggio. That's one of his most famous paintings, maybe his most famous painting. It's called The Calling of St. Matthew. It's a religious painting. There's St. Matthew's over there. See, there's Jesus. See the little halo? This is by Bernini, contemporary of Caravaggio. Raphael, a contemporary of Leonardo da Vinci. That's him right there. And Michelangelo Buonarroti. That's him right there. Those are the three titans of the Italian Renaissance in art history. Raphael, Leonardo, who else could I say? Michelangelo, who actually went on to achieve Ninja Turtle status, did they not? They did. So their fame just carried them right on through to the children of tomorrow. Ninja Turtle. I don't even know what that is. What is a Ninja Turtle? It's a Ninja Turtle. It's just a cartoon character. Didn't they name one Donatello?
Yeah.
And this is Judith and Holofernes by Gentileschi. Artemisia Gentileschi was an Italian painter. One of the unusual examples in all of this because she's female. And during her lifetime, there just weren't very many female artists. Hardly any. Now there's more female artists than male artists now in the world. At that time, there were hardly any. You guys know why?
Because they were treated like second-class citizens?
Yeah. And if a girl said to her dad, I'm going to be an artist, he'd say, no, you're not. If you say that again, I'm going to make you do dishes for the next 2 weeks and you don't get any food.
A lot of the fathers taught me about the painters. That's the only reason the girls don't know how to paint.
Yes, they were taught they didn't have the skills.
Well, because the schools.
There's another painting in here that addresses that. We'll talk about that. This is by Dürer, the German artist Dürer, one of those artists in art history that's famous for his self-portraits, 3 in particular. This is one of them. This is by Frank Lloyd Wright, Falling Water. I think this is the house that Johnny Depp duplicated in the Hollywood Hills. I never knew that until I was watching the Golden Globe the other night. I think it was in there. I might have that wrong. But this is now a museum near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. About 1 million people a year see this house by Frank Lloyd Wright. Very famous. World famous. Probably the most famous single family dwelling in the world. It was custom ordered by a family from Pittsburgh. That's a Tiffany lamp, an example of Art Nouveau. That's the Great Stupa in Sanchi, India, an example of a Buddhist reliquary site. A reliquary site. You guys know what a reliquary is? Okay, this is the painting. This is another didactic painting, and that's an example of neoclassicism, and it's the same painter that painted the guy who got killed by the young woman, Marat. Jacques-Louis David painted this, and this is a propaganda painting, so that everybody in this room knows their proper role, including me. My role as an old geezer, is to send my sons off to war. Because that is the proper thing for a young man to do, is obey his father. Hence the Nazi salutes. That's where the Nazis got them, from ancient Rome. The sons are obeying their father. They're going off to war. And if you're female, there's your role. That's it. You don't have any other choices. There's your role right there. You cry, you take care of the children. Sound good to you guys? No? You wouldn't like to go back to that? This is by Vermeer, the great Dutch artist, Vermeer. Robert Smithson's Spiral Jetty in the Great Salt Lake. Still there. All covered with salt now. So if you Google Earth this and fly around the shore of Great Salt Lake until you find it, it's really fun to do that. If you're like me and you like to do that Google Earth thing. Fly around, find something, come down on it. It's all white now because it's all covered with salt. It was done at around, I think, like 1970. That's probably Van Gogh's most famous painting, The Starry Night. That's the Laocoon by 3 Greek artists that I will not require you to learn their names. This was unearthed during Michelangelo's lifetime in Rome, dug up, and had a huge influence on the artists of Rome in Michelangelo's lifetime. It's an ancient Greek sculpture. It's in the Vatican museums now. Well, you can see it if you go to Rome. This is by Shazia Sikandar, a Pakistani American. I think she's become American. I'm going to show you guys a really nice little film about her and her work. Sikandar. And this is by Botticelli, another great Renaissance Italian artist. And this is Egyptian. In this case, that will suffice. You're just going to write Egyptian. You're not going to need to know that that's Queen Nefertiti or King Tut's mother or anything like that. This is Numbers in Color by Jasper Johns, an American painter. Maya Lin's Vietnam Veterans War Memorial. Jan van Eyck is the painter here. All these things we'll be talking about more. Another work by Christo and Jean-Claude, The Running Fence. A great example of Impressionism by the leader of the Impressionist movement, Monet. And there's the Pantheon in Rome. And another Bernini. Picasso. John Singer Sargent. Michelangelo's great sculpture in the St. Peter's called Pietà. Even though when you go to museums in Europe, there are many Pietàs. But if you, in art history, if you're talking about Michelangelo's Pietà, virtually everyone knows what you're talking about. This is a close-up of a Bernini sculpture. And that's Shiva Nataraja, an iconic image from the Hindu tradition. There's another example of Romanticism in art by Delacroix, based on the French Revolution. Delacroix is the artist. Self-portrait by Andy Warhol. Many painters consider this painter, Diego Velázquez, to be the greatest painter who ever lived. This is the centerpiece of the Prado Museum in Madrid, this painting here. It's a huge painting. And this is by Marcel Duchamp, French painter. This painting used to be called Whistler's Mother.